Welcome to the very first episode of Femtech in Asia, where I hope to offer you a glimpse into the world of femtech and sexual wellness in Asia. A place where I think the tide is really rising and where truly all the action is happening. My name is Karen. I'm the founder of the Della HQ, a femtech and sexual wellness hub based in Singapore. And today I am so happy to have with me Jasmine from Malaysia. I am going to introduce her a little bit. I stole that actually from her LinkedIn profile, all these things I'm going to say right now. And I think later she'll tell us a little bit more about herself. So Jasmine is a sex-positive advocate and podcast host and is passionate about sexual empowerment in Southeast Asia, especially in Malaysia. Through her work as a sex-positive advocate, speaker, and columnist, she hopes to create and encourage open and honest conversations on sexual health, sexuality education, culture and gender identity, pleasure, and dating. She has a really cool podcast on Asian narratives and voices, and it's called "I Wish Someone Told Me." But I will let her introduce herself in her own words. Hi, Jasmine. How are you?
Hello, I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
I'm
Thanks
good.
for having me.
Oh, thank you for being my very first guest. And before this started, I actually told her we had some technical difficulties that really has been raining down on me the whole week. So no one is going to think I know how to use the internet, but let's see. We're all learning. So
Yes, we are.
Jasmine, tell us a little bit more about yourself and your work.
Ooh, this is my favorite question, and it's also the hardest question to answer. So my name is Jasmine. I am based in KL, and I am a sex positive advocate, speaker, educator, as well as I write a few columns here and there. And I am really what I'm interested is in what I'm interested in is sexual empowerment in Southeast Asia, specifically in Malaysia, where I'm from, and as well as just really sharing or pushing for more Asian voices and narratives and stories when it comes to sex and sexuality and pleasure, because I feel like it's not enough and we need to do more of that. So I do that through my podcast and also through my Instagram page called Jasexplains. Yeah.
What spurred you on to take on this role?
Mm. Um, there's a lot of stories that I kind of so I'm gonna keep it short, but
It's
basically
okay.
I
We like
I
stories.
basically I have been sex positive ever since I was really young. I think when I was 14, when I see friends around in my school had to leave school because they had unwanted pregnancies or teenage pregnancies, and what happened is that because they don't want to be found out or it bring shame to the family, they had to leave school and also have to marry their boyfriends, or if they are if they're not in a very good circumstance, would be rapists. Trigger warning. I should trigger warning that word. But
We should probably put that
so
in the beginning.
so I had a lot of friends or people within my where I grew up that had to leave school really early because of unwanted pregnancies, and I just didn't understand why that happened. And also, sex and sexuality and pleasure is really taboo in Malaysia, but everywhere else, when you see the TV, the films, the music video, what have you, is so sexualized. It's so
Yeah.
easy to find all these things, and it's so easy to find it in pornography as well. But we cannot talk about it, and I just didn't understand. So I kind of did my own stuff, kind of do my own reading and unlearning everything that I've been taught, and that kind of brought into my adulthood. And in my adulthood was when I was just like, I really needed something that I can call my own, like
Mm-hmm.
a project, a passion project that I know I'm passionate in, and also I find a purpose in it.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to look into what is missing in society and what niche I can kind of go into and what I'm passionate in. And that is where kind of sex education, sexual empowerment, pleasure, and everything just kind of came in, and my page was created, and now my podcast.
And how many years has it been? If years, your page.
My page has been, I guess, 2 years. It's
Mm-hmm.
not really. It's like I did it in 2019 on my birthday, which is March 2nd, and so it has been about
Yes, we did that
2 years.
Women's Week celebration as well for
We
your birthday
did,
week. That
we
was
did. That was
awesome.
really fun. Yeah, that was on
Yeah.
Clubhouse.
Um, what have you seen any difference in reaction to your page from 2019 till now? I think it's been almost a couple of years.
Difference in reaction. I think it's just that more people know about me, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
and I appear in more places. So and also I kind of know who my audience are. I think when I first started, it was more on me trying to figure myself out, trying to figure my voice. I was kind of like, do I do content for teenagers? Do I do content for young adults? And
Mm-hmm.
eventually I kind of realized that I think my biggest passion lies in adults, like adults our age, like between the 20s to the mid 30s, and I wanted to speak more
Oh,
to them.
I am 1 year above the mid 30s, but thank you.
Or until the 40, who knows,
Yeah,
right?
let's
Like the
just let's just push it
oh,
40.
let's push it. Let's 40. Whoever resonates with the content. I mean,
Yeah.
because I feel that sex education in general in Malaysia, not to say that we have very amazing sex education, but there are more people focusing on teenagers and younger children, and I
Yeah.
wanted to sort of address the older um, people, and not just Malaysia too, in the
Yeah.
regional thing.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I mean, if I'm going to speak from personal experience, I wouldn't say that I know more than the 17-year-old who is just about to start university. I mean, I feel like the younger generation, and I write a lot about this on my website, that the younger generation are really so much more hungry for this sort of wellness knowledge, that, and I think that there's just so much more variety of information available to them than we had growing up.
1,000%. I
Yeah.
mean, the only thing I had when I was growing up was YouTube or like the occasional website, and
Yeah.
they're all Western.
And
They're all like,
cosmopolitan.
yeah, and they're all like, I remember like my first sex educator from YouTube was Lacey Green, and she does amazing content, and I love her content.
Hmm.
But a lot of the people on YouTube, sex educators like Lacey Green, they're not from Asia. So it's really
Yeah.
hard for me to kind of relate to them, and so I can't just go into the pharmacy to get a condom, right? Like there's so much
Yes.
societal pressure and societal taboo and like just so many things. And I wanted someone who looked like me and came where I came from to talk to me about these things.
So where you're from, I actually, which city are you from in Malaysia?
I'm from I am currently based in Kuala Lumpur.
And you went to school in Kuala Lumpur. You did
I went
school
to
and
school.
college.
Yeah, so I went to school. I'm from Sabah, which is KK, which is across the sea from Peninsula Malaysia in Borneo, and I went to university in Kuala Lumpur, and so I'm currently working here as well.
How was the how was the level of sexual education in school in Malaysia, in Sabah?
In Malaysia, the level of sex education, we will always remember science. Science Form 3, when we were 15, there's a chapter that's on reproductive health. And I remember this so much. I think a lot of Malaysians remember this too, because that's the only time where they will mention anything about sexual health education. And even so, it's about reproductive health as well as how to protect yourself. So
Mm-hmm.
there are not a lot of information. They did try to kind of introduce a new sort of sex education, part of like a new subject or whatever, but it backfired because they didn't do a good job in kind of like it was victim blaming essentially what they were doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we were just like there's a lot of pushback from the Malaysians.
I mean, I think also regardless of countries, a lot of sexual education is founded on the idea of abstinence, right?
Mhm.
Like you're just telling kids to avoid it, or if not, some unthinkable consequence would happen.
Or you're not
And
pure anymore.
yeah, and I
You
feel like,
are used.
and it just, I mean, I think it just inhibits the natural process of exploration and discovery that is necessary to maturity and growing up, right?
And that's very dangerous when you tell people constantly, don't do something, or you are dirty or you're shameful. Or people are going to do it more, and people are going to find other ways which are
Yeah.
not safe, which will be detrimental. You want to prevent something from happening. A lot of people think that when it comes to comprehensive sexuality education is what it's called. People think that we are teaching kids how to have sex, but no, we are preventing them. We don't want unwanted pregnancies to happen. We don't want
Yeah.
sexually transmitted infection to come in. And the only way we can do that is by telling them how to not get it, and and telling them don't have sex is not gonna work it. It's not gonna help,
Yeah.
because sexualized world. We live in a sexualized world.
It's everywhere around us, and it's a natural bodily reaction. It's your hormones.
Yeah.
It's like you're fighting against nature.
Fighting against nature is one thing, but also being empowered enough to know that you can say no is another. Boundary and consent, that's like a huge thing that we don't talk about. We're
Yeah.
so focused on teaching kids, or even adults ourselves, not to have sex and how to protect. Yeah, we're so busy telling people not to be shameful, not to do stuff, but we don't tell them how to be empowered in their body, that you can say no, and that's okay. And there's nothing. And also for women as well, a lot of women, I feel that we don't want to be uncomfortable. We don't want to be in an uncomfortable situation. So we
Yeah.
always give in,
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
don't want to fight. But,
Yeah.
that's not going to help anybody.
We don't want to make trouble, right?
Don't want to make trouble. Very, very nice.
God forbid we make trouble.
Right? Exactly.
But I mean, you speak a lot. I guess now online, and also you are a speaker on different panelists. You've hosted sexual wellness festivals and talks. I mean, would you agree or say that Asians really are more conservative and less willing to talk about sexual wellness and sexual health, sexuality? What do you find?
I don't think, okay, so like, I believe that when it comes to sexual wellness and pleasure and all this stuff, it's conservative everywhere around the world. It can be in Asia, it could be in the UK, the US. There's always some conservatism in it. It's just that in Asia in particular, like you don't see that in movies and TVs and as much, especially within our community, within our Asian movies. And then when we see like Indian films started kissing, we were just like, oh my God, that is like totally different. So I think the conservatism is in the lack of materials that we see, and that's understandable. But I do feel that more and more people are more willing to talk about it. We're more hungry. Just today, I was listening to the news, and I think some ministry, oh, I can't remember which ministry, was talking about how sex education is really important to prevent unwanted pregnancies and also underage marriage in
Wow.
Malaysia. So, and then also like last year alone, I was part of a lot of different panels, like you said just now, like a lot of different panels, a lot of different talks, a lot of different festivals and conversations about sexual health and sexuality and pleasure in Malaysia. It's not even international. There was one international one, just Sugar and Spice, which is really cool, but a lot of the conversations are within Malaysian context, which is so interesting. So we're
Yeah.
so ready to do it. We just need to like keep on going and not stopping.
There needs to
But
be more of you.
there needs to be more conversations, and also this platform, which is why it's amazing. And I'm so honored to be part of this platform,
Oh, thank
to
you.
do this with you. Yeah, because I'm like, yes, Karen, let's do Della HQ. Let's do this. I'm
I
so happy.
actually I was on a Zoom networking call I think a couple of days ago, and everyone had to introduce themselves. So I introduced Della, of course, and another lady, another girl in the Zoom call as well. She was like, "Oh, I had no idea about femtech and sexual wellness in Singapore." And I'm like, "Look, I will say and I will talk to anyone who will listen. Like, if you want to hear it, I can tell you."
Right? We need
Because
to normalize the
yeah,
conversation.
exactly. And my whole thing is once you start talking about it, even if you start talking about it with your friends, it's sort of like a rolling effect, right? It's first you talk about it maybe yourself to yourself, and then you talk to one other person, then that person talks to two other people, and then it just compounds from there, and then suddenly, hallelujah, it's in the mainstream.
Yeah, and I like what you said about you talking to yourself first, because a lot of times I'm faced with a question of how do I actually talk to people about it, because I'm also very shy to talk about it. And the most important thing I'll tell people is that you need to first be confident in the topic that you're bringing and in how you do that is by, reading up on a lot on the topic, sexual health, sexual wellness, and what have you, reading up about your body and your pleasure, and just really getting to know yourself. And then also, if you can't have conversations with other people about these things because it's so taboo, it's very
Yeah.
shameful, then that's where podcast comes in, right? That's where videos comes in. Just listen to other people's conversation. It's really, really powerful. And only then, when you feel fully ready to go out there and talk, you can do it. And you can kind of, if anybody says anything else or go against you, you know how to kind of,
Yeah,
debate.
you have an answer, right? So
You have an
you're not,
answer.
yeah, you're, I mean, I think a lot of sex educators as well, they're so knowledgeable. They know so much about sexuality, anatomy, psychology, neural behaviors. I mean, it is it is a biology, like a biology subject, right?
Yeah.
So
Also, yeah. I mean,
they're
also
just
the feeling part of things as well. But yeah, I mean, there's so, what, I wish I love what you said, and I wish that was true for me, but I'm like, I feel like there's so much more I need to learn.
no, I'm learning something every day. Every time I speak to someone else, I'm like, wow, I know so little. What really impresses me is a lot of new, like, crazy intelligent tech that's coming out in the female health world. Like,
Mhm.
I think there is a platform that collects women's data from blood in used tampons so that they can better diagnose women's issues.
Oh,
I mean, that just like blows my mind.
that is amazing. See,
Yeah,
like, like you go to your website and then read all your articles. When I was doing more research about what Della HQ does before for the clubhouse thing, I'm just learning so many things from what other women do and other people doing,
yeah.
to contribute to the femtech industry. And I'm just like, I never thought about it, and I'm like, this is amazing,
But
fantastic.
I feel like no matter how big or small the product or the idea or the brand seems, everyone I've spoken to, including yourself, what really drives them is to empower other women and arm them with knowledge about themselves and really to do it for the next generations of women. And like whether they are the CEO of like a 25-year-old brand or just starting out, like that's really the commonality that I found like with everyone that I've spoken with. And it
Yeah,
just like it stems from the heart. I mean, it's so touching, this industry.
yeah, because we don't have it, right? I mean,
Yeah, because we never had it, right? So
yeah, that's why my podcast, I named it I Wish Someone Told Me, because there's so many things that I wish someone told me when I was growing up. And so, like, I wish someone told me that it's okay to say no. I wish someone told me that periods are not disgusting and it's something normal, it's nothing
yeah.
dirty. I wish someone told me something about relationship, blah blah blah. So yeah, like all these women who are, or just people who just folks who is part of the femtech industry and wanting to contribute to society, that's amazing. And I always will say this quote, because I always believe in this quote, is be someone you needed when you were growing up. And so I guess when they were growing up, they didn't have, all these things. And, hey, we're not going to wait for anybody to do anything. We're just going to do it
Yep.
ourselves. That's
Yeah.
empowering.
Yeah. Making lemonade from lemons. What, I mean, talking about making lemonades, what has been the most challenging thing about your work that you find? I mean, I'm sure it's rewarding every day, but have you found anything difficult, challenging?
Yeah, for sure. Um, I think the challenging thing about in doing what I do is trying to find that fine line to to because it's so, some of the topics are very very touchy in Malaysia because we are a very religious state. So talking about gender, different genders, different relationship types, the talking about the LGBTIQA plus community has been really tough for me to navigate around. So I'm constantly, I won't say self censorship, but more like self regulate myself. So like the way I create my content is I would kind of, instead of saying like this to your face, I'm gonna give you a glossary of the different pronouns, for example, the glossary of the different genders and stuff like that. And a lot of the times, a lot of people, especially in Malaysia, would say like, like in Malaysia, we only have men and women, and more than that, that's like some Western ideas. We don't have more than two genders. And then what I would do is I will give them all these different genders, and then I will give them examples from the region, from Southeast Asia, from Philippines, from Thailand, to say that, hey, Philippines and Thailand, they acknowledge a third gender, more than three genders actually. So this is something that has been going on historically in our society. It's not a Western concept,
Yeah.
so whenever I do stuff, I'm just trying to pull how can I give examples from our region so that it's relatable and people don't say it's a Western thing, not an Asian thing.
Yeah, I spoke to one of my very first interviews was from, I think she's a recent university graduate, and she has a sex education account on Instagram. And when I spoke to her, she said similarly, she was like, it's not a Western thing or an Asian thing. Like, we are women, right? Like, barring some longer limbs or taller people, we have the same inner organs. So why is there the need to be like, oh, this is such a Western concept? Like, we don't do this in Asia. Like, we are the same, you know?
Yeah, I'm exactly. So it's just about, I guess it's about how can we honor our identity and our culture and our identity as Asians, but still, still be sex positive and
Mm,
empowering people instead of making things like sex, for example, very scary and very fearful. And victim blaming is a huge thing also. Yeah, so I guess like in terms of my passion is I really wanted to sort of really untangle all of that in the web. And I'm not going to say that I can do that, I have the ability to do that. It's like it's a huge thing, but like we're all doing our untangling as small as it
yeah,
is,
yeah. We're all working
as
on
much
little
as we can.
knots everywhere in the web.
Yeah, we're all working on little knots, and that's all it takes, just one person to start something and you
Yeah.
create a whole movement, and that's something beautiful.
What do you have any standout stories from your audience who've been like, you have helped me so much? Like, before you, I had, I didn't know what I didn't know.
Yeah, there are a few, I feel. I think I do workshops for women, especially when it comes to vulva pleasure. So anyone who has a vulva, anyone who identifies as women, they would go to my workshop, and a lot of the times, the biggest aha moment or the biggest, mind blown moment they have is the fact that women too can experience pleasure. Vulva owners can experience pleasure. And a lot of the times they think that only penis owners can experience pleasure. And here I am, I'm saying, like, no, we literally have an organ. We have the clitoris that's solely for pleasure. It's not for anything else. And, that's something powerful. So there are women in my workshop who was just like, oh, I didn't know. I thought like, all this while I'm just giving pleasure to my husband, but like, I also can feel pleasure, or I didn't know that I can say no to some of the things that they did because I thought I have to just say yes to everything. But then in doing so, they actually injured themselves. So someone had a sex related injury. And so I was just freaked out. I was like, oh my God, no, like you can say no and you should say no, especially when it comes to safety issues, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I ended up kind of like giving her some like tips because she's also plus size just like myself, and so I was giving her some tips on like how to modify a certain position. Hence why, like, if anybody goes to my Instagram page, Just Explains, you will see a post about sexy positions for curvy women or something like that. So that was inspired by that.
Oh, that's so cute.
Yeah.
Well, then on the flip side, um, have you gotten any like haters comments being like, you should stop teaching other women how to have sex? Yeah.
I'm pretty sure people would like approach my family and go like, what the hell is she teaching? Like, why is she teaching about these things?
Oh
For me
gosh.
personally, I do like I get the I fortunately I don't get a lot of pushback. The pushback that I can remember is people asking me my religion, whether I'm Muslim or not, or whether I like went out of the religion and therefore that's why I'm defiant of the religion. And I'm just like, okay. I do get like a question asking like, why do I teach? Is my why do I teach sex education? Is it to educate kids how to have sex? To educate teenagers, encourage them to have sex? And then to that, I would always say, hey, teenagers or people in general are going to have sex with or without me there. But if they do get unwanted pregnancies, and then everyone will say, nobody teach them sex education, is it? So you can never win with these
You
people.
can
So
never win.
I might as well do my own thing and you do your own thing. And if I help you, amazing. If I don't, so.
What has been the one thing you have learned about yourself that you didn't know about yourself before you started Just Explains and I wish someone told me?
I
Like for me, I really learned to be more patient and accepting of the limitations around a sexual wellness business. You know, because I'm
Mm,
always very like, let's go, let's do, let's everything's fast, fast, fast. But I feel like with this industry, it's you require a lot of patience to, especially in education. It takes a lot to change someone's mind, really.
yeah, I think I would say the same thing. I think I would say like I honor anyone's stance, whether or not you are for sex before marriage or sex after marriage or whatever the conversation is. Like I last time I think I would probably be like, no, there is only one way to go about this. How can you not be sex positive? Like I do not understand this. But now it's more of like, let's have a conversation. Let's like let's talk about it, right? Like why do you
Yeah.
feel that way or why you don't feel that way? And how
Yeah.
do you feel? And I think I'm more also empathetic towards people. Like whenever people share me stories where they just say like I just cannot share it with other people, I cannot have this discussion because I'm so shy. Last time I would be like, why are you shy? So easy, you just open your
Just
mouth.
say lah.
Just say lah. But now I'm more like, okay, yes, I understand. Okay, now you need to like unlearn it from inside, tell you, kind of listen to podcasts. Now I'm
Yeah,
more
there's a
like,
process. Baby
it's a
steps.
process. It's a process, baby steps. Yeah, but I am learning so much about myself. I'm also picking up a lot of new skills. Thanks to Clubhouse, I picked up moderating skills. so,
I must
so it's
say to
great.
anyone who's watching this after I put it up, Jasmine is an awesome moderator. She lets everyone speaks. She doesn't interrupt. She I was really impressed.
Thank you. That was all Clubhouse teaching me how to be a moderator. Yeah, and also hosting skills. I think with podcasts as well, I'm more like I think I listen better now. Like I listen to respond, not listen to react. So I would pick up some stuff and yeah, it's just like
That's really
listening
good. I
skills.
might extract that from this interview. Listen to
Yeah,
respond and not listen to react. Hmm.
yeah. So yeah, just really mindfully listening to people talking and sort of pick up some stuff and then kind of relay back the information. But yeah.
Cool, super awesome. Uh, is there anything that you have in the works for your brands? Any new projects that you want to tell us about? What we should look
Ooh.
out for?
I think more really interesting podcast shows. So I interviewed speakers for the upcoming Sugar and Spice Festival, which is going to happen at the end of March. So I guess by the time
23rd
this video,
to 27th, I think.
yeah. So I think when the video comes out, I think the podcast would already come out sometime this week. So that's happening, and that's really cool because I interviewed someone who opens like a burlesque theater space in Thailand. I interviewed someone who is a trans woman slash she's also a sex worker so in Singapore, so just learning about how it is in Singapore and all that stuff. And also like in India, there's a media company that talks about sex education and stuff like that, sex positivity. So these are all really, really interesting. I do
Yeah.
want to do more Clubhouse stuff because I think Clubhouse is really fascinating. It's
I
really
love Clubhouse. I think it's
yeah,
so intimate.
and it's really intellectually stimulating as well. And I love
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
too.
I think I've
And I
also
have
had
a thing for
the
voices.
I actually have a fascination with voices. I wrote an article on the website about kind of like the power and the allure of voice. And then I had an interview with Megan White, who is the director of education for Satisfier. And she does a lot of soma and body work. And she was telling me that, yes, there is this connection kind of in our genital areas and the voice. Like the longest nerve in our body is the vagus nerve that connects
Hmm.
the throat to our pelvis area.
Hmm.
I think, if I'm not wrong, that the whole theory is called prognosis, but I might be wrong. So I should just put that down in the comments. But yes, I have a fascination with like being attracted to the voice and how you
Yes,
form or think like what this person might look like
yes.
and an image
Oh,
of yeah.
oh, dude, that is voices
Yeah.
are so important to me because it just really, if someone has a nice voice, I don't care how you look like because you just have this really nice voice. And to top it off with Clubhouse, it's not just about voices, it's also about your mind. So like,
Yeah.
your
So you go
intellectual,
for the intellect.
yeah, the intellectual sounding one and like a really nice voice, which I'm really excited for my upcoming Sex Talk Thursdays because I have someone who fits that description. So I'm like, you entice people to come to my room and you make people stay.
Just keep speaking.
Just keep speaking, don't stop. Yeah.
Okay, Jasmine, I think I have come to the end of my questions. Is there anything else you would like to add?
Well, not, I guess I could just kind of shamelessly plug in.
Yes, please.
So please follow me on Clubhouse. My name is Jasmine King on there, and every Thursdays we have Sex Talk Thursdays where we talk about just all things sex from an Asian, Southeast Asian lens. And every week there are different topics. So Karen was in Femtech in Asia topic, which is really, really fun. And so this coming up, which I'm not really sure if this video will be up by then, we have another topic about Ask Men Anything. And so every Thursday at nine
Wow,
o'clock,
that would be
every
cool.
Thursday, it would. I'm so excited for tomorrow.
Yeah.
Every Thursday at 9 o'clock Malaysian Singaporean time. That's where we do it. I also listen to my podcast. I Wish Someone Told Me. You can find us on Instagram called I Wish the Pod, and check out my Instagram Jess Explains, which is actually there's a sex there. Did you realize that? I don't know if you realized that.
I
Jess.
realized it. I was
Okay,
like,
thank you very
that's very
much.
smart. She changed her
Thank you.
Instagram name. I'm like, I see that. I see you.
Yeah, yeah, I like yes, pun.
I got it. I got it.
Yeah.
Okay, Jasmine, thank you so much for taking the time out to do this. I really hope to someday see you in person
I know
when the
when all this
restrictions lift.
when all this ends, we shall meet in the between,
Yes,
or I go there or you go here. Yeah, we
Singapore,
should hang out.
Malaysia, I don't know, come to
We should
Dubai,
have
something.
a community of sex educators in Asia just coming by and chill
Speaking of
out.
that, actually, that's my last question. Are there any other sex education accounts that you recommend people to follow that are sex positive with a modern Asian context?
Ooh, that's a good one. I need to think about this more. I mean, if specifically Asian. I mean, there are a lot. So if you
Yeah.
do want to check that out, you can actually go to my Instagram account, Jess Explains. That's where I follow all the sex positive accounts, which is really, really, really amazing accounts. I do want to suggest sex positive families. They're not really Asian, but what I like about that account is that it's really how do we grow sex positive children, be sex positive families and parents and stuff like that.
Wow.
How do we talk about sex to our kids? And I think that's a question a lot of people always struggle with, right? Like I want to be
Yes.
sex positive, but how do I open that conversation? So
Yeah.
sex
When do you
positive
start
selfies,
and how?
20s, the soon as they start talking, or the moment they start questioning, even when they're young, start talking about their bodies. That's the thing. Sexual education, talking about the proper names of your bodies, it'll make a huge difference.
Yeah. Not the baby names that people give them.
Yeah, not but not bum bum.
Kukuchiao.
Chow, yes, all of that. Cannot. Proper names: penis, vulva. There you go, and butt.
Thank you. Okay, thank you so much. We have come to the end of the first episode. I really hope you guys catch us again next Wednesday, where I hope to have all technical issues solved. But the interview series is on every Wednesday for 6 Wednesdays. That's season 1. And we speak to different personalities and businesses in the femtech and sexual wellness world in Asia. Thank you so much. Bye.